Good evening, everyone. I'm Sharon Bond with New Student and Family Programs. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. We're glad to have you with us. We have a little over 300 participants tonight. And I know that you all, not all of you, you sent in some questions ahead of time, which we will go to, and we will try to get to the other questions that you have. As the webinar goes on, you can submit those through the Q&A feature there on your screen, and we will, as I said, get to as many of those as we can. And also on the call with me tonight are several staff members at DU. Thank all of you for joining us. And Beth Goad, who is the Assistant Director of Family Programs. And we are going to be working on your questions here and there. So at times, you might hear my voice, you might hear Beth's voice. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to share my screen with all of you. And I'm just going to give you a quick overview of what New Student and Family Programs does and how we assist you. So the Office of New Student and Family Programs, or known as NSFP, is committed to the successful transition of new students and their families into the University of Denver community. And we do that through New Student Discoveries orientation, through a Family Discoveries program, and through ongoing sharing of information and resources with you. You can always find our information, contact information, our videos, these webinar recordings, and other information on our website, which is there at the bottom of the page. But it is crimsonconnect.du.edu/NSFP. Okay, and the way that we give you the resources are through a monthly newsletter, through the Parent and Family Facebook group, which I know that many of you are already familiar with, and that is facebook.com/groups/University of Denver. Parents, sorry. The whole word is University of Denver Parents, if you're searching for it on Facebook and want to join up with that group. Also through our dedicated email, parents@du.edu. If you're having trouble finding something on the DU website, or if you just need to ask us a question, or if you have something private that you want to talk about with us, that's the email address that you can use. We can help you find your way. A lot of families have been asking how they can be prepared over the summer. The first thing that we suggest is creating a communication plan with your student, and especially in these times, this is very, very important for us. We want to know how often, we're going to talk with our kids. How are we going to do that? Are you going to want to see their faces? So do you want to do a Zoom call with them, FaceTime with them? Do you want to just have a call once a week, or, just check in once in a while? Something that we found useful is that when you do decide to text with them, and the shorter the better, that's always been the advice that we give. Sometimes if you put a lot of info into a text, they look at it and they go, oh, I don't have time right now. But if you, also put into a text, want money, sometimes that gets their attention really quickly and they get back to you fast. Another thing we suggest that you do over the summer is to discuss budgeting. If they're going to have a job or not, if they're going to, utilize a bank card, if they have a credit card, or if they're going to use a debit card. There is a bank on campus, US Bank is there, and you don't have to utilize that, but it's a possibility to link that with your student's ID card, which is very convenient, and a lot of people do use that. But discussing budgeting over the summer and deciding way ahead of time, how many hours they might be working at a job that they want to have. Is that job going to be on campus, or is it going to be in the nearby area? These are all things that, it would be good to have that discussion way ahead of time. Also to be prepared for their first "I'm stressed out" phone call. This is something that usually happens with every student. It's about 2 to 3 weeks into the quarter, that first quarter, that they're on campus and they realize how much reading there is now, how many assignments they have. And this, of course, is assuming that students are going to be on campus. Of course, you know, in this time with COVID-19, we are all very hopeful that we're going to be on campus and things are going to run like normal. That is a very flexible, you know, situation that we're going to have more information about, of course, as a little bit more time goes on. We're relying on our government leadership here in the state. And also, you know, we're thinking about where students are coming from around the world. So, you know, this is something that we're hopeful about, but also something that we just won't be able to answer tonight. We can't solve all the problems, but we're certainly going to take as many questions as we can about the fall format, and you know, probably be taking those questions back to university leadership. But back to the point here about that first phone call, usually, like I said, 2 to 3 weeks in, they give you a phone call, and you know, sometimes there are tears, and sometimes they say it's too much. I'm not sure that I'm, you know, doing well, and I'm nervous. It usually happens to everybody. If you're expecting it, don't let it stress you out as well. You know, just listen. Sometimes that is really all they need. A lot of the time, we have overheard these phone calls going on, and they are truly stressed out, but then they get off the phone, they take a deep breath, and they go, oh, where are we going for lunch? You know, and we can hear those conversations with them and their friends. And they feel so much better after being able to kind of unload a little bit and to tell you what's going on with them. And yeah, sometimes that's just all that they need, is to be able to tell you. But the important thing there is to not jump into problem solving mode, and to sit back, let them think about it, you know, and, you know, ask them, what do you need from me? That's probably one of the best questions that you could have at that point in time. And if you do have, you know, something that you want to talk with us about, if you want to discuss it again, we're available for you to just kind of, you know, go through what they've been telling you. And if you feel like it's, you know, something more than just academic work, if you think that it's social, if you think that there is something that is just not normal, then we definitely want you to reach out to us and let us know, so that we can get you some good resources for you and for your student. Another thing to do to prepare over the summertime is to discuss your expectations, but then also anticipate some changes, some academic changes and some social changes with your student. Things are very different from high school when they get into the college environment. If high school seemed really, really, you know, easy for them, sometimes they feel like it might be the same in college, and it's usually not. Sometimes, you know, their high school environment, you know, was difficult enough for sure, but then just different expectations happen in college. So things can change quite a bit, especially if they've spent a lot of time in the same school system. They can be upended because maybe their friends they expected to see are possibly in different schools, and they might be on different schedules. And there are a lot of social changes, again, you know, within the first, I'd say 3 weeks or so. Lots of students, you know, experience some friendship changes. They meet a best friend, and then they realize they weren't a best friend. You know, they meet somebody that they might want to date, and then it turns out to be someone they don't. And it's that first month that, you know, they're just kind of getting used to it. They're getting used to a lot of independence at that point in time. And if you expect a little bit of rockiness, that's totally normal. You know, again, just listening to what they have to say and asking them how you can help. You know, is there something that I can do, rather than just going right into the problem solving mode and saying, do this or do this. You know, asking them the question, it kind of puts that ownership back on them as well, for them to develop their own problem solving skills with those academic needs and their social needs. Also, something that I would advise that you do is for your students and you know, for you as well, is to take a look at the advising webinars. And I listed the website there where the advising webinars are located. Students can benefit from, watching a couple of different webinars. Things that, they're interested in are on that page. And I would suggest, just taking a look at those, and as well as the videos and the webinar recordings on our website. Okay, so what to expect coming up pretty soon. We'll have a DU parent and family calendar that's going to be mailed to your home. And that's going to include some important dates in there and some other information, let you know where we are during the different weeks of the quarter. It's very useful for you. That is probably not going to be mailed out for another 3 to 4 weeks. As we learn more about the dates and different information about our campus and the upcoming fall format, we're going to be adding that information into that calendar. So we need to have a little bit more time, but it will be going out to you within just a few weeks. There will be more online resources to be shared with you. The Parent and Family Handbook will be online. That will give you a lot of information about the different resources on the campus from the Student Affairs Division. And also a guide for talking with your student about alcohol and other drugs. And those will be available to you very soon. We will send the links to you through email. As I said, Discovery's orientation and the fall class format, the information on those is going to be shared from the Chancellor's office no later than July 15th. At this point in time, we don't have a lot of answers for you on those. And we'll share any information that we have as soon as it's available to us, though. We're going to share emails and Facebook posts to keep you up to date. And if you heard about this webinar in another way, other than getting an email directly from us, you can let us know that you weren't on the list and email parents@du.edu. And Beth and I will make sure that you get onto our list and that you receive information from now on. I want to go over a little bit here about FERPA. You may or may not have heard about FERPA. It's the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act of 1974. Things change a little bit when your student goes from the high school environment into college. They have their information protected because they are legally adults. And this federal law is designed to protect them, their privacy, to limit access to student educational records. And it does include family members. It's not like high school when they used to contact you right away and say, hey, your student didn't go to class, or hey, your student has this kind of a grade, or they have a paper due. It's so very different in the college environment. Their information is protected, and that's for other reasons. It's not just for the student. They're not trying to hold information from you, not at all. What this is for is to also protect them from other people who are trying to get information about your student. So this is a law that we take very seriously. At University of Denver, there are ways to get more information, of course, about this law, to really read up and educate yourself, because students can fill out a release of their confidential information. They can do that on Pioneer Web, and you can also find more information for yourself to know much more about this law, because at some point, if you call the university and want to know a grade, or if you want to know something else about their academics, if there isn't a waiver in place for FERPA, then we won't be able to share the information, and legally we will not do that. So have a discussion with your student over the summer about what they're going to share and when they're going to share it. This is really important for you to have this done now, and definitely not just wait until you need it. And you can look up the information there at du.edu/registrar/privacy. This is some contact information for our office. The general email, parents@du.edu, for questions that you have for us. I can tell you now that when you're looking for something on the DU website, it's pretty easy to take a guess if you don't already know where to find information. So if you want information from the registrar, for example, you can put into the website du.edu DU.edu/registrar, which is their page. But if you do that for other things, such as if you wanted information about tuition, put in bursar at the end, du.edu/bursar. If you want information about academic advising, du.edu/academic advising. So this is some also for housing, for other things like that, athletics. It will usually get you right to the page, or it will give you a suggestion and it will get you usually what you're looking for. If you cannot find what you're looking for, or you're not sure where to go, definitely get in touch with us at that email address. You know, we can give you some information, some advice. We're always here for you year round. I know that a lot of you are very curious about orientation, how that's going to look for your students and how it's going to look for you. Traditionally, the university has had a pretty robust program for students and families. Students, the program has lasted a week on campus, and for families, it's lasted Monday, Labor Day, as well as Tuesday. This year, things could look very different because of COVID-19. So throughout the summer, we're going to engage all of you, students and families, in virtual orientation programming. We're going to be very prepared for that. Using webinars, we're going to have some other remote events, and we're developing a plan for a staggered move-in process as well. We're talking about, you know, how are we going to do physical distancing with the students? How many students will be in a room, for example? And we're still having discussions about, you know, those things. So again, more information is going to come out about that, and we just don't have those answers at this moment. The Discoveries Orientation Program for students, it's going to include a small in-person, you know, experience, as well as some virtual programming. That is the plan for right now. If we're able to do more on campus, we definitely will. That is the way that we would certainly prefer to have everything. But we will be waiting to see, you know, what our governor, what the mayor has, and you know, the CDC, and how they suggest that we move forward with our planning for fall. I think that covers a lot of the major things. There was some information here on housing. I know that first-year students are going to have space on campus. That was something that the chancellor was specific about, that we are going to have space for first-year students. And there's a question here about whether or not dorm assignments were based on when the request was made, if it was first come, first served. I don't believe so, but at this point, do we have Lindsay on the call? And Lindsay, are you with us?
I am. Can you hear me?
Right. Yeah, we can hear you.
Awesome. Perfect. So sorry, it was preference on, or is it based off application completion date, right?
Yes.
So it is a factor that comes into when we make placements, at least when it comes down to, not down to the wire, but when we're looking at, you know, those last few students who might not have matched with someone or are just kind of looking to be placed somewhere. We want to make sure, first and foremost, that any roommate pairings that we do make for those double spaces that will be available for the fall, that's our biggest concern, is just making sure that the students pair well together. Then we try to meet both of their preferences and things like that. If it, like I said, if it gets down to, you know, we've got these last few students who applied here at the last second, or, you know, the last couple days for housing, that will go into effect. But we're coming up on a obviously really interesting year for everyone, where our occupancy is going to look very different. And so preferences, we'll try to meet those as much as possible. But in terms of when applications have been completed, that's also something that's very low on our totem pole, especially for the upcoming year, just because of everything that's happened, and everything's also been up in the air for a lot of our students.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Let me take a look at another question that had come in. Okay, when and how can my student meet with an academic advisor to determine her schedule? This is a question that we receive quite often. Academic advisors are available year-round. du.edu/studentlife/advising. And I hope you heard that over my dog drinking water right next to me. This is the beauty of working from home, is that we have little noises and things going on in our houses that we don't really expect. I'm gonna just give you that website again, just in case. du.edu/studentlife/advising. So on that website, there's a lot of information. You can see who the academic advisors are, and you can take a look at students' academic plan, their policies, find forms. You can see information about academic coaching and how to schedule an appointment with an academic advisor. And as I said, they are available year-round, so they can help you at any time. We should probably go to the Q&A. Beth, do you have some questions that have come up that we could address right now?
Yes, I do. Sorry about that.
Okay.
So many different screens going on here. Would you be able to go over important dates for upcoming first-year students?
The important dates for first-year students. Yes. And we'd actually, Beth, do you have that document with you?
I believe it's on the web.
It's on the front page of our website.
On new student and family programs, I believe, yes.
Oh, good. Okay.
So yes, I can post the link to our website.
Great.
In the comments, along with the new student checklist is there as well, which would be helpful.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be, yeah, really useful information. The important dates and the checklist that your students are using, and they have probably been sharing this with you already, but they have some important things to do on that checklist from the admission office and through our website, just to make sure that they get those things taken care of throughout the summer, and they meet their dates and deadlines. Okay. Thank you for posting that, Beth.
Sure. Another question?
Yes.
Okay. Can freshmen request a single room next door to the person he or she would otherwise be roommates with this year?
That's a great question.
That is a wonderful question. So right now, given all of the changes that have come out and kind of the new information that's been shared about kind of what occupancy and housing is going to look like for the fall, our team is kind of regrouping and figuring out what room selection will look like for our current upcoming second years, since they will also still need to go through that process. But we're also revisiting what the requests and preferences process is going to look like, especially for students who have already filled out their applications, which is great, and that's a lot in most of our students. So in progress, the hope is that yes, we'll have something in place where they'll at least be able to select preferences for single or double rooms. And then if they're looking to room next to somebody, depending on if they're in an LLC or anything like that, if your student doesn't see any information about that specific kind of topic in the communication we'll be sending out, and we're hoping to do so within the next week or so, just to kind of give students a, hey, here's what our plan is, then they can reach out to housing assignments, all one word, at du.edu, and they can certainly ask that question. Or they can email housing@du.edu and ask the question, and we'll make sure that it gets forwarded over to the proper team, just to see if that's a request that they would be willing to take into account.
Thank you very much for answering that, Lindsay. Do we have another question?
Yes. This is similar to the last. Can you please talk a little bit about the roommate situation for incoming freshmen? We tried using the online matching system and are having trouble figuring out how to follow up with other students who came up as a good match. Then we read that this week all students will live in single rooms, question mark.
Yeah, so there is going to be a mixture of singles and double suite style rooms for our first year students. Again, with the information that was released on Friday, our team is getting together to figure out kind of what that process is going to look like, which also kind of requires us redoing our application system and things like that, which requires us to work with our third-party environment company who offers that for us. So lots of moving parts kind of going along with that. For right now, students should still be able to search for roommates and connect with them in their application portal, which is run by the company we use. It's called StarRes. If they're having any issues reaching out to somebody, but they do know the person's name and they want to connect with them just to get a conversation started, they're more than welcome to email us, housing@du.edu, and say, hey, I found this person that I'd really like to connect with, but I'm just not able to do it within the application portal. We can give out DU email addresses since that's public for all of our students, and we can at least give them that email to connect with the other person so that you're making that connection. And if you do want to end up in a double, then we can start that process with them.
Thank you. Next question, if we defer admission, can the student take junior college classes while we are waiting to start at DU?
That's a great question. I would always have a conversation with someone in the registrar's office about where your student is going to go and what classes will be taken, to also make sure that those classes will transfer to DU. And I believe that that's an option that, most accredited colleges, the classes will transfer, but we don't know exactly, it depends on what the course is called and I believe what it's actually titled. And the registrar can determine if it will transfer to DU and how many credits will transfer. So make sure that you get in touch with our registrar to ask that question. Because it's very specific for each student. And you can get in touch with them by emailing registrar@du.edu.
Okay, next question. It looks like you are recording this session. Will the recording be sent out to parents and students?
Thank you for the question. Yes, this is a question that has come up a lot today. We've answered several emails, and I had thought about that in the beginning, and then of course I didn't cover it. But yes, the recording will be on our website, and as soon as it's finished with editing and posted, I'll email the link to the recording to everyone that's on my list. And you'll be able to get access to that anytime. You can always go back and watch the recording again. So yeah, thank you very much for that question.
Is the new housing still set to be available for freshmen this fall?
It is. We're going to be at less capacity, obviously. I'm not entirely sure what the exact numbers are going to look like quite yet. But yes, it is slated to open. We should have our certificate for occupancy, and we are excited to be able to at least welcome some students into the building for its first year.
Okay. My daughter will be a freshman. She has chosen a roommate and definitely wants to have a roommate. Under the new guidelines, what do we need to do to ensure that that happens?
Yeah, so similar to kind of not at the at the risk of sounding like a broken record, but with the new information that's come out, we are working to figure out again what those preferences and what preferences are going to look like and what that process will look like for students, and we'll communicate that out to anybody who has started an application or has an active application on file for housing for next year, because we do know that there are students who have set up roommates or who really want to be placed with a roommate as part of that, as part of that process of getting acclimated to campus, and it can be very important for personal and academic success. So we definitely recognize that there are going to be folks who want roommates or a roommate, and so we're working on what that process is going to look like, and we just want to make sure that we have it all finely tuned and ready for you all without any glitches, hopefully, before we send that out to students, so that that's one less thing that they'll have to worry about, and it'll be an easy process. It could be within the application. It could be some sort of, hey, email this email address. But like I said, we'll share that out once we have that finalized with all of our incoming first years.
Thank you. When students register, will they be told whether a class is online, in person, or a hybrid?
That's a great question. Do we have someone on the call, someone on staff who can answer that question for us now? There's a possibility that we may have to take that question and reply to it later on. Don't know if we know the answer to that right now, but it's a really great question. I don't see anyone coming forward in the chat that's able to answer it right now. So let's just table that one for now, and we will come back to that. Really great question. Thank you.
Will the dining halls be open?
Yes, there will be dining on campus. We've been working with Sodexo, who is our food service provider, to figure out, if there's going to be special hours or anything like that, guidelines that they're going to set up. Since they're a third-party provider, Sodexo will have its own safety guidelines in place to ensure safety while also keeping up the food quality. But yes, the plan right now is that Centennial Halls and the dining hall, Nelson Hall, will be open. We'll share out any updates to hours or anything like that with folks, and we'll also post it on our housing website if we have any changes in what their operation hours will be, and then any safety guidelines that they share with us in terms of what students might need to do as they enter, we will also post on our website. So in progress, but yes, they will be open.
Thank you. All right, next question. Where is the best place to get information about tuition, fees, and room and board payments, timing and details? Also, can you help identify good resources for budgeting with our student?
Okay, sorry, there we go. As far as the tuition information, you can get that information from the Bursar website, du.edu/Bursar. And for room and board, Lindsay, do you have information on the housing website, or is there another location where they could go to find information about that?
Yeah, so all of our rates for the 2021 year are posted on our website, du.edu/housing. And then if you click on the resources tab at the top of the page, you'll see room and board rates 2021 in the menu on that page. And then in terms of like timelines and due dates, all of the fees for housing, for room and board, and all of that is tied in with your student's tuition bill. So it's all due at the same time. So you don't have to worry about keeping up with different due dates or timelines or anything, and everything will be on your student's DU Pay account. And it'll show up as room and then their meal plan as well.
Thank you for mentioning that DU Pay account, Lindsay. If you're not familiar with it, DU Pay is the online platform that's being used for making those payments, obviously. And that is also information about that, and signing up for that is on the Bursar website as well. Next question.
I'll just point out that in the chat, there's also a great link for students learning about finances, just to answer that part of the question too. That was posted. Thank you, Jess.
Oh, thank you.
If a student decides to defer after July 15th, what is the process?
That is a really great question. That is something that you would discuss with the admission office. On the top of my head, email them at admission@du.edu. And at that point in time, if your student, I'm not sure, I think that registration doesn't happen for students till July 20th, but depending on what day it is, if your students make decisions like that, you could also just let us know. We'll get you to the right people just to make sure that everyone is aware of the decision making that's going on with your student at the time.
Okay, do they still aim to decide about whether fall will be on campus by July 15th, or has that changed?
That has not changed. That is the same date. At the latest, it will be July 15th when that decision has been made, and an email will be sent out from the Chancellor's office, and we'll also post that information on the parents' Facebook group so that everyone, we're going to widely publish that information as soon as it's available.
Can you say a few words about transfer students, especially any special programs for new transfer students?
That is a really great question there as well. Do we have someone on the call tonight that can send a chat to me if you are able to answer that question? Right now, I'm not getting a response on that one, but thank you for that question. We do have resources for transfer students. It's not at my fingertips at the moment, but we'll be sure to find some information for everyone. There is a transfer track in Discovery's orientation. So on our website, New Student and Family Programs, there is some information. And thank you, Thomas, for posting that in the chat. If you go to our website, and I'll just read that off for you one more time, crimsonconnect.du.edu/NSFP. And you can view the transfer track for students in there. They do have specific programming that doesn't fall in line because they do have different needs from a student, coming directly from high school. So you can see some information on there. And let's see. And we'll post more information as we get it for you.
Ready for the next question?
Yeah.
Okay. What will new student orientation look like?
That's a great question. We're developing some virtual courses for students. We're also going to do a combination of in-person offerings for them. We're developing that as time goes on. We'll know more about how that's going to look, and we'll be able to share a lot more information with you. Normally, we have a full week of activities for students to go through their Discoveries orientation program. And they get a lot of information from us. They get opportunities to socialize with their peers, get to know their floor, in their residence halls. A lot of different resources are shared with them at the time, some different courses. But there's a possibility that we'll be moving a lot of that information to an online course format. So I would say that we'll have a lot more information to share with you. We would love to have that all in person, as I said before, but there is a strong possibility that we'll have those in a virtual format, especially, as we go throughout the summer.
Okay, is the registration process and webinars different for the School of Music?
I'm not fully understanding what the question there is for the webinars. I'm assuming that the webinars that we're hosting, I'm not understanding exactly what is being asked with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
With regard to jobs off campus, while I don't expect my student to have a job the first semester, I'm guessing that jobs will be scarce during the pandemic. Are most on-campus jobs filled by students?
Yes, the on-campus jobs are filled by students. The competition is a little bit fierce, especially for an on-campus job, but as time goes on, more and more jobs do open up. And I would suggest that you, as soon as possible, visit the student employment website. And I'm gonna take a guess that it's du.edu/student employment. It's not pulling up for me right away, but this is something that we can provide to you as well. If you search for it on the DU website, you can find it, or if someone else out there in our panelists knows that website, you can share it in the chat and we can share it out with everybody. Yeah, we'll definitely get that information out to you when we follow up after this webinar. Oh, there it is. Okay. It is du.edu/student employment. And there is also some information posted from Sarah Robbins over in HCC. It's quite a long link in there, but we'll make sure that we copy that down and we can get that to all of you when we follow up after this as well. There's a message on here about the advising videos, and it says from academic advising, it says we will have several advising videos for different colleges. Lamont School of Music has an advising video that will be posted in a couple of days on the new student registration website. And let's see here. And I think that was just du.edu/new student. And I'm just going to check that real quick. Okay, that didn't come up for me right now, but I think that's just because I'm overloading my computer with being on the webinar. But we'll find that information for you as well. Great questions.
All right, when will you know if a parents' weekend will occur?
I think that we will know once we get back to normal operation on campus. We will be able to make that determination. The family weekend, I know that, you know, DU has two events where parents are highly encouraged to come. The event in the fall is homecoming, and that usually happens either the second or third weekend of October. And we will let you know as soon as we know. We'll want to get that information out to you as soon as possible. Right now, we just, you know, we don't have an answer for that. We also have family weekend, which will happen in April. And again, when we get back to normal operations and we are comfortable and confident with our you know, safety measures and that we're going to have a really nice event for everyone, we will get that information out to you as soon as possible. I would say that once the Chancellor makes his announcement as of July 15th, then we will certainly have that answer at that point in time about the homecoming and family weekend events.
All right, the next question, when will the advising department be available to talk live? They've submitted several questions from the form, but they don't specifically answer the questions that they're looking to have addressed.
Oh, okay. That's something that you may need us to help you to get in touch. Since you are mentioning that you already got in touch with the office to ask questions, but you're not getting the answers that you were looking for, I mean, I would suggest going to their website and scheduling an appointment, a virtual appointment with them. The academic advising office is very accommodating. They'll be happy to help you and to speak with you over, you know, probably a Zoom call. I know that they're offering that in the virtual environment we live in these days. But you can also get in touch with us at, actually, let me see here. Yeah, you can get in touch with us at parents@du.edu. And we could maybe have a conversation separately to see if we can get you connected, okay?
All right, the next question, what is Discovery's orientation?
Discovery's orientation is the program that for students that they become familiar with the campus community. They learn a lot about the expectations of them as a student at DU. And there is a, let me get that here. On our website, you can read a lot about the students. We're going to do online and in-person transition programming for students through Discovery's orientation. We discuss their roles and responsibilities of becoming a DU community member. They get to know the resources and opportunities to support them academically, socially, and their health and wellness goals. It helps them develop skills centered on their social interactions and their engagement with diverse identities. It gives them a lot of experience about the campus and getting to know their residence hall floor. That's what they usually do during the traditional format when we have them on campus for a full week. That's what we would be doing. We're going to offer that same kind of format for them, but it may be in online courses as well as you know, having the in-person experiences. We don't know how long those, you know, if we're going to have that for a couple of days on campus before they start class, or exactly how that's going to look, but we're going to be delivering the same information to them. You know, it would be better if we were all in person all week, but we just, you know, can't say whether or not that's actually going to happen this time around. Do we have another question?
Yes, does a FERPA release also give parents access to financial information, i.e. tuition billing?
Yes. Yeah, there is some specific information on the registrar's website about that. It goes into a lot of detail about what information can be shared. If there is a, you know, a release of all information, or confidential information for a student, then you can get that information as well.
Okay, how can I check the status of the Parent Plus loan? We filed our application in March.
Parent Plus loans, I am not completely sure if that is the bursar or financial aid. Let me just take a quick look here. That should be the financial aid office. I'm going to give you the financial aid website address, du.edu/FINAID. And on that page, you will be able to find information about not only, you know, financial wellness, but you should be able to find information about those loans as well. Let me see here. I'm just looking through a little bit so that I'm not going to lead you astray. I think both of these websites would be good for you to kind of take a look through, both the financial aid and also du.edu/bursar. On both of those, you'll be able to get a lot of information about what you're looking for. Okay. Next question. Do we have another question?
Yes. Is the financial aid office open for next year?
Open for next year? Yeah, it's open year round. I'm not sure if the question is if they're answering questions about next year. Open for next year. I'm gonna have to just say yes. Yes, they are. And please send us another question if you want us to get more specific.
Okay, next question. If orientation happens on campus, will there be events for parents to attend?
Yes, I'm glad we're coming back around to this. So for the Family Discoveries is the name of the program for parents and family members. There is, in a normal environment, there is a program for parents and families on Monday and Tuesday. That's Labor Day, Monday and Tuesday. It usually starts early in the morning on Monday with move-in and then goes through Tuesday afternoon until around 5, possibly 6 o'clock in the evening. That's in a normal environment though. There's a possibility that we're going to have parent and family the sessions and the educational, transition information for families may be delivered virtually. Again, we're still, talking about how we can safely offer different things for families, how we're going to work with move-in, and that information is forthcoming.
Next question. How do students coordinate academic accommodations that exist for them in high school for the accommodations transfer?
Great question. I think that what you are looking for is our disability services program. The disability services program can help you with developing a plan for your student and take a look at what they had in high school and help you get set up at DU. And if you go to their website, which is du.edu/DSP, that will get you the information that you're looking for, and you will be able to find contact information and talk with someone about setting that.
All right, next question. How many of these webinars do we have to attend?
Oh, okay. You don't have to attend all of the webinars, or is it how many we have to attend? We have one on the first of each month at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. These are going to be available for your general questions. We'll continue to do these as long as they're needed. Right now we're planning, the next one will be July 1st, and we're going to offer them on the first of each month through October. But if you have something that is pressing, definitely get in touch with us at parents@du.edu. There's a lot of communication going on right now. The university is sending out, information about webinars, and of course the chancellor has a town hall happening tomorrow at noon. I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that for all of you. The information about how to join the town hall is actually on the parents' Facebook page. So if you are part of that, you can get the information there. Also, the chancellor's emails have been mentioning the town hall, and we will send a link to this recording to everyone. And then also give you information about the town hall as well, so that you have that information on how to join. And unfortunately, we are right at 7 o'clock right now, so we want to be respectful of everyone's time here and make sure that we can end in a timely manner. There's just one more thing that I wanted to make sure that I mentioned for all of you, is that the immunization records were due today for your students. Without sending records, your students will not be able to register for classes. So it's really important that you get to that as soon as you're able. The records can be sent to info@du.edu. And with that, I think we're going to go ahead, and I'm so sorry we couldn't get to all of your questions. We do have a copy of all these questions. So we're going to be pulling this information, and we will have a lot more to talk about on our next webinar, which, as I said, was July 1st at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Oh, okay, I just got another note about the immunizations. The email to send in your immunizations actually is info@hcc.du.edu. There we go, just wanted to make sure that was in there right. So we will be back with you again July 1st. In the meantime, we're going to give you more information about what we weren't able to answer tonight, and we're going to send the recording link so that you can view this later on, and also for people who missed us tonight. We appreciate you being here very, very much, and we want to say welcome to DU. We're very happy that